Chapter 79, Don't Look Back, 3. Ho Yun Nam, standing alone in the field, was in a state of great shock. First, he was shocked by Song Warren. It wasn't because he lost the duel to her. It was because of what she said afterwards. Meeting a master who couldn't control his lust at the age of 20. I'll record it like that in my life. Those words pierced his heart like a dagger. When she finished speaking and turned away with a smile, he felt as if his heart was being torn apart. He felt utterly worthless. He felt a murderous intent to rush at them and kill both Song Warren and Byok Ridan. He felt a surge of desire to kill Byok Ridan and rape Song Warren right there. How much did I love her? He had let her go that day without making her his because he loved her. Just then, a stream of sound transmission flew in. It was Byok Ridan's sound transmission. Yeonhwa told me to tell you. Withdraw from Shandong immediately. For a moment, Ho Yun Nam felt as if his mind had gone blank. What? While he was standing there in a daze, Byok Ridan and Song Warren had left. Belatedly, Ho Yun Nam's face twisted like an evil spirit. I'll tear that bastard to pieces. Only then did he realize that all of this must have been orchestrated by the slaughterer Yeonhwa. So that's it, of course. Otherwise, there's no way Song Warren would suddenly ask to meet him and show him such contempt. The slaughterer Yeonhwa must have been manipulating her from behind. He's been scheming to destroy me. At the same time, self-justification took place. Yes, there's no way Warren would do this to me. Instead of rational judgment, fiery hatred consumed him. Having received Yeonhwa's message, from his perspective, there was no reason or situation to think otherwise. A dense killing intent filled Ho Yun Nam's eyes. I'll definitely kill that bastard. I returned home. I don't know what results my single sound transmission will bring. If he makes the right judgment, it will be nothing but nonsense, but if he harbors evil intentions, it will ultimately become a knife that harms himself. 3 days ago, after tailing Ho Yun Nam who went to the pleasure house, I immediately sent a message to Yang So Bang asking him to send a spy here. I assigned the arrived spy to monitor both Ho Yun Nam and Yeonhwa. Now all I have to do is wait for the results. On my way to my room, I met my mother and Jong Young, Baek Pyo's wife. The two were chatting amicably like real sisters. Mother, Lady Jong. I greeted them politely. Jong Young's expression was brighter than when she first came. There was no trace of stiffness or tension now. Where's my Ongai? He's studying. The madam put him in a good school with a good writing teacher. Jong Young answered with a bright smile. I told you not to call me madam, call me elder sister. Yes. Jong Young bowed her head. Given my mother's personality, I thought they would soon form a sisterly bond. It seems my mother has taken a liking to her calm and composed nature. At times like this, I feel renewed respect for my mother. Although I had asked her to take good care of them, what my mother is showing now goes beyond just fulfilling my request. She is acting out of genuine affection for Jong Young and her son. I could clearly see that this stems from a deep love for humanity. This wasn't something that could be achieved just by being old. Even at 70 in my past life, I couldn't treat people with such warmth. If you need anything, please let me know anytime. When I said this to Jong Young, my mother interjected slyly. I need a daughter-in-law. I quickly left the place, pretending not to hear. I heard the two of them laughing behind me. They would start chatting enthusiastically about my marriage. 3 days later, the news I had been waiting for arrived. It was news about the negotiation between Ho Yun Nam and Yeonhwa. Yeonhwa had refused to negotiate with them, but the Ho Yun clan had repeatedly proposed it. At the negotiation table that was set up with such difficulty, Ho Yun Nam suddenly drew his sword and attacked Yeonhwa, turning the negotiation site into chaos. In the end, Ho Yun Nam died on the spot, and Yeonhwa was seriously injured, stabbed by a sword. Despite his skills being on par with Yeonhwa and the element of surprise, Ho Yun Nam ended up dead. It meant he had already lost his mental composure. If he had repented for trying to violate his young female disciple, he would have returned to his family on the day of the duel with Song Warren. If he had done that, he wouldn't have lost his life like this. But he couldn't control his anger. He ended his life as a miserable human being until the very end. Upon hearing this news, I immediately put on a human skin mask and went to the Shandong night merchants. They too must have heard that the negotiations had broken down and the place had turned into a sea of blood, so they would be holding an emergency meeting. When I said I came from the Heavenly Blade sect, the men guarding the gate guided me to Yeon. Yeon asked cautiously. I heard you came from the Heavenly Blade sect. About 10 men were standing tensely in the reception hall. I knew well that hidden weapon launchers were concealed in their sleeves. For someone of my martial arts level, it's only a problem if I'm caught off guard. Hidden weapons that I'm already aware of are no longer hidden weapons. I openly displayed my killing intent. How dare you try to play tricks against us? As I fully revealed my intentions, the pressure was tremendous. Those with weak nerves might have wet themselves on the spot. What do you mean? You dare to bring in the Hoyun clan to attack us? It's a misunderstanding. I only wanted mediation. Cut the bullshit. That old bastard from the Hoyun clan suddenly launched a surprise attack, and Elder Yeon was seriously injured. Weren't you the ones who called them in? I never imagined such a thing would happen. HMPH. You call that an excuse? As I snorted, Yeon hurriedly asked. What do you want from me? You'll have to pay with your lives. I'll kill every single one of you without exception. A chilling atmosphere filled the room. Yeon and the men looked at each other, pondering. They had no idea how to handle this situation. At that moment, the hot-tempered Ji Cheol made the first move. You bastard! You're the one who should die. Boom! With an ear-splitting explosion, hidden weapons were fired from the launcher Ji Cheol was holding. Clang! I lightly swung my sword to deflect them. Instead, the rebounding hidden weapon struck Ji Cheol down. Boom! 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 Hidden weapons were fired in succession. Clang! 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 But I deflected the hidden weapons with my sword, and the men who had fired them flipped over and fell. To the onlookers, it looked as if they had shot themselves with their own hidden weapons. Ah! The remaining men ran away, clutching their heads with the hands that had thrown away their hidden weapon launchers. I let them escape. The rumor needed to spread that this was done by the Heavenly Blade sect. I walked towards Yeon with my sword drawn. Yeon prostrated himself and shouted, "Please spare my life." I raised my sword into the air. I'll give you all the money we were supposed to give to the Hoyun clan. The sword I was about to bring down stopped above his head. You should have said that from the beginning. At my words, he let out a sigh of relief. Please follow me. He led me to his room. When he manipulated a hidden mechanism, the bookshelf opened. Please go in. If you try any tricks, you'll die on the spot. My life is the most important thing to me. There won't be any such thing. Yeon took me down to the basement. There was a secret storage there. You must not move from here. If you make the slightest mistake, poison gas will be released. Just as he was manipulating something to open the safe door. Clank! Suddenly, iron bars came down around me. The wire mesh between the bars was so fine that not even a flying dagger could pass through. I could tell at a glance. This was made of 10,000-year-cold iron. Indeed, Yeon became relaxed as if he had become a different person. You stupid bastard! How do you come in here alone and cause a ruckus? Do I look that easy to you? Who? After shouting at me, he actually opened the safe. It required entering specific numbers, a mechanism on the floor, another mechanism on the wall. The safe would only open if these were pressed accurately in the correct order, with double and triple security. Inside the safe were promissory notes, gold items, and various documents. He grumbled as he brought over a large leather pouch that had been prepared in advance. Damn! I guess I have to run away after all. He seemed very reluctant to give up the Shandong night merchants. If I lie low abroad for a few years, maybe I'll find a way. While gathering the promissory notes, he looked back at me. Do you know how I gathered this money? Once, a pregnant woman came looking for her husband. He had been taken by me for not repaying his debt and hadn't been heard from since. She begged me to release him, saying he was about to become a father. You know what happened? I kept her until she gave birth, sold the child separately, and sold the woman to a brothel. The husband? He had long since died and become dog food. You bastard, this is how I earned this money. Even hell is too good for you. I maintained a calm attitude. You idiot. Pretending to be righteous till the end, like some martial arts hero. I slowly drew my azure bright king sword. Swish! Clang! Indeed, even the sharp blade of the Azura Bright King's sword couldn't cut through the bars. He laughed mockingly and shouted loudly. You idiot, that's 10,000-year cold iron. I infused my inner energy into the Azura Bright King's sword. Zing! The Azura Bright King's sword, accepting my inner energy after a long time, rang out once. When the sword rang, Yeon flinched in surprise. A blue sword aura began to form on my sword. It looked like blue waves rippling. It was truly the first time in a long while that I was emitting sword aura from the Azura Bright King's sword. Zizzing! I started cutting through the 10,000-year cold iron with the sword aura. You fool! Sword aura can't cut through it. If it could be cut so easily, it wouldn't be 10,000 year. Yeon's words trailed off as his pupils shook. Ooh? Ooh? Who? Shring, shring. As I kept cutting repeatedly, the iron bars started to be cut away. Oh shit! Yeon hurriedly ran to manipulate something. Clank! Iron plates came down around the bars, blocking all sides. Hiss, poo-ha-ha-ha. Immediately, poison gas began to rise from the floor inside the bars. Cake. If you had just stayed still, I would have killed you cleanly. That poison is the bitter agony death poison. It's a poison that makes you feel the pain of all your blood vessels being cut before you die. The inside of the iron bars was covered with poison gas. The next moment, Yeon's eyes widened. Zing! The iron plate split and a sword blade suddenly protruded. He was watching, thinking it must be a last desperate attempt. Suddenly, the sword began to move, cutting through the bars. Shring, sirring! Smoke flowed out between the sword blades. The Azura Bright King's sword was soaring away inside the smoke-filled space. It looked even more terrifying and bizarre because only the sword was visible, moving and protruding, with no person in sight. Who? Who? Yeon felt as if he was dreaming. Cutting through 10,000-year cold iron inside the poison gas? Impossible things were happening one after another. Ah! As he tried to run away, he started quickly gathering money. Shit! What are you? A ghost? Who? Damn! He cursed as he rapidly collected the money. He could give up everything else, but not this money. Then, a sound from behind him. Clank! The sound of metal falling to the floor. Yeon turned around and his eyes widened. Gripped by fear, he fell on his bottom right there. Of course, he had to be terrified. The 10,000-year cold iron and iron plates had been cut away, and I was walking out of the poison gas. Looking up at me as if seeing a ghost, Yeon trembled. It was a joke. It wasn't poison gas, just smoke. Please forgive me. I smiled and then blew out a breath. The poison gas that had been lingering in my mouth was blown onto his face. I like jokes too. Yeon, who hadn't expected this at all, screamed in pain as he inhaled the poison gas. No. Ah. He rolled on the floor, clawing at his entire body. Even in the midst of his writhing in terrible agony, he wouldn't understand. Why I didn't die? How this was possible? Yeon died with his eyes rolled back after experiencing the pain of all his blood vessels being cut. My gaze towards his corpse was cold. Just like you told me earlier, make a good confession of your past sins before the King of Hell. I gathered all the remaining promissory notes that he had been collecting. They were all small amount notes. It was the fortune he had accumulated over his lifetime. At a glance, the amount totaled several 100,000 taels. Many people must have suffered because of this money, and many must have died. I prayed for their souls to rest in peace. From now on, this money will be used to save good people. So forget your grudges and I hope you'll be born in a better place. I swept up not only the promissory notes but everything else there. Documents, boxes, gold items, I just took everything. I also cut the 10,000-year cold iron with sword aura so that I could move it. Although it was quite heavy, it was mostly made of wire mesh, so with my inner energy, I could move it sufficiently. The documents stored separately were loan contracts for money lending. Looking at the contents, they were ridiculous contracts requiring repayment of several times the principal after just 1 year. I burned them all without leaving any behind. After today, it will be known that he died, and since all the contracts have disappeared, people won't have to repay the debts. Those who were suffering from borrowing money from him will be free from debt hell starting tomorrow. I left the place, carrying a large leather pouch and the cold iron. As of today, the Shandong night merchants have disappeared from the martial arts world. Chapter 80, Not Caught in the Net, 1. 50 I visited the mountain cave after a long time. It was the same cave I had visited whenever important matters arose in the past. There, I calmly sorted through the items in the leather pouch. First, the 10,000-year cold iron. Most of what was called 10,000-year cold iron in this era wasn't pure. The majority were mixed with other metals, and their strength was determined by how high the ratio of 10,000-year cold iron was. 10,000-year cold iron was so expensive that even the wealthiest people couldn't afford to use pure 10,000-year cold iron. Among the people I knew, only the Black Dragon Emperor of the evil sect had used pure 10,000-year cold iron. He used it to escape, but in the end, I cut through it and killed him. Judging by its strength, what I brought from Yecheon was expected to have a considerably high purity of 10,000-year cold iron. If I later entrust this to a craftsman who can handle 10,000-year cold iron, separating the 10,000-year cold iron from these metals, it should be enough to make one sword, or perhaps even two if done well. Or I could also modify it into an alloy for other uses. In any case, I had obtained a material that's difficult to acquire even with money. Anyway, since I couldn't use it right away, I buried it inconspicuously near the cave. Next, I counted the promissory notes. It amounted to 550,000 taels. This was Yecheon's lifetime savings. The gold items I brought along would also fetch a good price if sold. It was truly a sum approaching 600,000 taels. I plan to do two things with this money. First, I intend to create an intelligence organization. Considering my enemies, a properly functioning intelligence network is absolutely necessary. Second, I plan to create a secret organization with Baekpyo as its leader. I will create a powerful organization composed of elite experts who only follow my orders. I intend to entrust Baekpyo with the task of gathering people from the start. Baekpyo should be more than capable of handling this task. Apart from the promissory notes, gold items, and jewels, the rest were miscellaneous items. They were unnecessary documents and such, which I was burning to dispose of when something caught my eye. It was a small booklet filled with code words and numbers. I could tell that this was Yecheon's secret ledger. I was about to burn it but changed my mind. I put it in my breast pocket. I wanted to check something before burning it. That's how I sorted through all the items brought from the Shandong night merchants. I came out of the cave and looked down at the foot of the mountain. The enemies I was facing were getting stronger. I didn't dislike that, because the reasons for me to become stronger were also growing. From the next day, rumors began to spread quickly. The rumor was that Ho Yun Nam of the Ho Yun clan had died, and Yeonhwa of the Heavenly Blade sect was seriously injured. One side was the Ho Yun clan, one of the four great families of the Central Plains, and the other was the Heavenly Blade sect, which needed no introduction. It was truly a major incident. As soon as the rumors started circulating, another rumor followed that the leader of the Shandong night merchants had died at the hands of an expert from the Heavenly Blade sect. It was said that the Shandong night merchants had brought in the Ho Yun clan, and this was retaliation for that. Whenever two people gathered, they all talked about this. Especially the leaders of the Shandong sects were worried that Shandong might become their battleground. My father and mother were no exception. I'm worried about what kind of aftermath this incident will bring. Indeed. While my parents were worried, I was relaxed. I think there's no need to worry. Why do you think so? To my father's question, I calmly replied. The Ho Yun clan is based in Jiangxi, and the Heavenly Blade sect is based in Guizhou. Both places are far from here. It's already happened, and now that the sequence of events is clear, there's no reason for them to come all the way to distant Shandong to clash, is there? My father nodded. He seemed to think it made sense. Then what do you think about the Shandong night merchants? Won't they cause trouble, seeking revenge and endangering Shandong? The collapse of the Shandong night merchants is a good thing. The night merchants are an organization with an unclear identity, full of greedy individuals. Such people, stepping up for revenge for the Shandong night merchants. That's impossible. They'll probably fight fiercely among themselves to take over Shandong. Both my father and mother nodded at my words. Their eyes were full of trust towards me. Regardless of how things turn out, they were pleased that their son could offer such clear opinions. In fact, I was truly feeling good. I had eliminated all those who needed to be removed and obtained a huge sum of money. The most important point is that Song Warren and I were completely removed from all these events. Them fighting among themselves is actually what I desire. One of the most important principles in facing a strong enemy in war. Divide the enemy and then defeat them one by one. This was a tactic I often used. The more forces that become hostile to the Heavenly Blade sect, the weaker the Heavenly Blade sect will become. I need to build my strength while figuring out who is behind Ma Bongji. It was still time to grow and build power. Anyway, Shandong should be peaceful for a while. I'm thinking of returning to Wuhan tomorrow. Already? Stay a bit longer. My mother was reluctant, but my father held back his regret. Yes, you should be diligent and move around when you're young. My father added the words he never forgets to say. Don't treat your subordinates carelessly, always be considerate. I'll keep that in mind. It's something I hear all the time. But when I heard these words today, a thought suddenly struck me. Perhaps becoming an excellent leader might be possible with just that one mindset? Being in the highest position, it seems like you need to accomplish so many things, but in reality, isn't properly practicing just that one thing enough? No, isn't even that one thing difficult to do until death? Song Warren opened her eyes. The morning sunlight coming through the window was unprecedentedly bright and clear. When was the last time she greeted the morning with such a refreshing feeling? She stretched and got up. I slept well. A moment later, Su Ran came in with water for her to drink. Young miss, you look in a good mood. I had a good sleep. She had a deep sleep for the first time in a long while. And today, she didn't have a nightmare. Su Ran was happy as if it were her own good fortune. Watching Song Warren unable to sleep properly had been very worrying and heartbreaking. Song Warren looked out the window. The scenery was no different from yesterday, but because her mood was different, the scenery looked different too. She had heard about her master's death. The moment she heard the news, her heart ached. When she felt pity for her master, she could tell that she had completely broken free from her master. That the wound in her heart had healed. If she had felt pleased about her master's death, it would have meant that the wound was still deeply present. But she felt sorry that her master had died. She pitied her master and her heart ached. But that was it. She didn't have nightmares, and this morning was so refreshing. Just then, a maid came to deliver a message. Young Master Biok has come to visit. What? Tell him to wait for a moment. She quickly got out of bed. Where are you going? I need to wash up. And put on makeup. You, quickly find some clothes. You know? The ones I cherish. Hurry. Quick. Watching her rush out, even using her lightness skill, Su Ran had a bewildered expression. It was a side of Song Warren she had never seen before. Su Ran looked out the window. In the distance, she could see Biok Aridan standing in the garden. Song Warren had been changing since meeting Biok Aridan. She had become brighter and more energetic. At first, Su Ran disliked Biok Aridan, but now she was grateful to him. Still, young Master Biok, you shouldn't make our young miss cry. An hour later, Song Warren walked to the back garden, yawning. What brings you here so early? She stretched as if she had just woken up and come out. Did I come too early? No. I just woke up. I haven't even washed up yet. I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry for showing you this appearance. Despite saying that, she was too pretty and beautiful. The clothes she was wearing were also neat. But what brings you here so early? I need to go to Wuhan. It might take a month or two, so I wanted to say goodbye before leaving. Ah, I see. Though she tried to act nonchalant, Song Warren felt more regretful than ever before. Her relationship with him was changing day by day. Of course, it was her own feelings. She couldn't know Biok Aridan's feelings. What kind of emotions would she feel when they meet again next time? Just thinking about it made her heart flutter slightly. She said to Biok Aridan, "Thank you for everything this time." Really? She meant it sincerely. If it weren't for him, she would have had to live with that wound for the rest of her life. Have a safe trip. Before that, I should keep my promise. Promise? I said I'd teach you a more magnificent martial art, didn't I? You were serious about that. Did you take it as a joke? When Song Warren nodded, Byok Ridan asked with a surprised face. And yet you decided to discard your martial art? Why? Didn't you tell me to trust you? There was a moment of silence. Ha ha ha. I laughed loudly. She had really made such a decision, recklessly trusting only in me. Come on, let's go. I took her to an empty training ground where we faced each other. The martial art I was going to pass on was the vibrating splendor sword art, 1. It was the exclusive martial art of the famous female expert from 2 generations ago, the splendid lady of Solitary Mountain, 2. The vibrating splendor sword art was an ascending sword technique incomparable to the sword technique she had learned from Ho Yun Nam. I first passed on the mental technique to her. I taught her how to use the mental technique, repeating it several times. Next, I passed on the moves. I extracted only the core and passed it on in the fastest and most accurate way possible. Even so, it took all day. I did my best, and she learned with all her might. Finally, when night fell, the martial art transmission was complete. I smiled and said to her, "If you master this martial art, you won't get beaten up anywhere you go." Though I said it jokingly, Song Warren would know how excellent this sword technique is. She already had an excited look on her face. There's a tension and joy that comes with an ascending martial art. I'll come back and check on you next time. Until then, just practice as you've learned. She didn't ask how I knew this martial art. Well, if she were to ask about this, there would have been too many things she should have asked about before this. I'll work hard. Hoping it would help with her training, I added. The person who uses martial arts should be free. When you're not bound, you can be free. But don't forget. The person who can freely use martial arts is someone who has practiced the same move thousands, tens of thousands of times. Only such a person can attain true freedom. This doesn't apply only to martial arts. That's what freedom is. Only freedom imbued with patience becomes true freedom. Song Warren's eye sparkled as she nodded. Being intelligent, she would have understood well what I meant. I'll be going then. When we meet again, you'll be stronger. I look forward to it. As I was about to turn around, Song Warren did something unexpected. She extended her hand for a handshake. Her outstretched hand trembled. I thought this might be the first time she had extended her hand to a man to express gratitude. I took her hand. Not enough to hurt, but firmly. It was our first handshake. I returned straight to Wuhan. On the way, I also brought the 10,000-year cold iron I had buried near the cave. There was no craftsman in Shandong who could handle it anyway. I brought the 10,000-year cold iron and placed it in the secret chamber of Sianhak Peak. That place was safer than any battlefield in the Central Plains. Only then did I return to the inn where Guangdu and Gong Su-chan were staying. "Young master!" Guangdu, who came running from afar, hugged me as if pouncing on me. This time, I didn't avoid it and let myself be hugged obediently. I really missed Guangdu too. "I missed you. You fool. Anyone watching would think we're family reuniting after decades apart. Think of it that way." I was so worried when I heard about the commotion in Shandong. How much must he have worried? It was Guangdu's specialty to lose sleep worrying about me. Could it be? As Guangdu asked cautiously, I nodded with a meaningful expression. Oh my goodness. Realizing it was related to me, Guangdu was startled. Don't worry. It's been resolved well. Young master. What? Aren't you scared? If I had to face such people, I feel like my heart would burst. I'm scared. But don't I have someone who would die in my place? Startled, Guangdu slowly backed away. Don't forget that your scapegoat is still weak. It'll take about 100 more years to get stronger. Ha ha ha. Following that, Gong Su-chan walked up and greeted me. Welcome back, sir. Thanks to you, I had a good trip. You look well. I might have been, but Gong Su-chan wasn't. His face looked a bit gaunt from working busily. Take some rest while working. I'm eating well and sleeping well while working. It's an order. Yes. I will do so. Gong Su-chan said with a slightly tense expression. Young Master Byok, there's somewhere we need to go together. Unlike usual, he seemed slightly excited. Without a word, I followed him out. Chapter 81, Not Caught in the Net, 2. The place Gong Su-chan guided me to was an estate located about 20 li from Wuhan. It had a great location, backed by mountains and facing water, with beautiful surrounding scenery. Where is this? This is the estate I've recently purchased. It will be the headquarters of the new merchant guild we're establishing. Oh. So the merchant guild is finally being created. It may be nothing, but I wanted to show you first. How can you say it's nothing? Isn't this a historic place for us? The story that starts from this estate could become legendary. I looked at the estate with an emotional expression. Seeing me more moved than he had expected, Gong Su-chan became greatly touched as well. Have you decided on a name for the merchant guild? You should name it, Young Master Biok. No, didn't I entrust this matter entirely to you, Chief Gong? You should name it. Then Gong Su-chan pondered for a moment before cautiously suggesting a name. Then how about naming the Merchant Guild Supreme Star, Tizong, Merchant Guild, 1. Although it's a small company now, it means that it will become a great star illuminating the world in the future. Excellent. Let's go with that. The name of the Merchant Guild was decided. Somehow, I felt excited at the thought of creating my first merchant guild. Now, shall we go in? I followed Gong Su-chan into the estate. The interior was very modest yet neatly built. There were buildings in 3 directions around a small training ground at the center. The central building was the largest, while the buildings on the left and right were about half its size. I looked around each one. Everything was to my liking without any issues. Well, since the meticulous Gong Su-chan had carefully purchased it, there was no reason for any problems. You've worked hard. It's nothing. I just bought a property with the money you gave me. Gong Su-chan replied humbly. It's not my money, it's our money. Yes, young master. Gong Su-chan smiled faintly at me. Knowing my words were sincere, the emotion in that smile must have been joy. Afterwards, we discussed how to run the merchant guild. I entrusted everything to him. The better the leader, the less they interfere with the details of their subordinates' work. The only thing a leader should do is find talented people and place them in the right positions. Before leaving the estate, I handed him a ledger. It was the one I had obtained from Yheon's secret storage. By the way, take a look at this. What is this? It's a secret ledger of an organization. Could you review it when you have time? Understood. Gong Su-chan carefully received the ledger. Belatedly, Guangdu came to the estate. After looking around the estate with all sorts of fuss, he rolled up his sleeves and started a thorough cleaning. When it comes to cleaning, it's this Guangdu, right? He wasn't ashamed of the fact that he had been a servant. Rather, he was proud of it. If I hadn't been a servant of the Biok clan Sword Manor, how could I have met you, young master? How could I not cherish Guangdu when he's like this? You fool, hire people to do it. You'll get sick if you try to clean this big place alone. Are you worried about me? Of course. I'm touched. I also wish the estate was a bit cleaner. Ah, it would have been better if you hadn't said that last part. Ha ha ha. Although we had the estate, I still stayed at the inn. I visited on the first day, but for the time being, Tizong Merchant Guild needed to be nurtured as a merchant guild unrelated to the Biok clan Sword Manor. Gong Su-chan also planned to operate secretly from behind the scenes rather than taking direct action. In the afternoon, Baekpyo came to see me with 2 people. I have people to introduce to you. The people he introduced were Baekpyo's right-hand men, Yang Chong and Myong-do. They were fellow guard martial artists from the Alliance Protection Regiment who had become Baekpyo's subordinates after quitting. This is my lord. Yang Chong and Myong-do couldn't hide their surprise when they saw me. It seems Baekpyo hadn't given them any prior explanation about me. They were shocked by how young I was, but at the same time, this gave a strange sense of mystery. The person Baekpyo trusts is this young? Then there must be something truly extraordinary about him, right? Such thoughts were evident in their expressions. Of course, this was only possible because of their absolute trust in Baekpyo. I'm Yang Chong. I'm Myong-do. Baekpyo emphasized his trust in them once again. They are like my arms and legs. In that case, I had only one thing to say. If martial artist Baek trusts them, I trust them too. Let's get to know each other over time. Yes. I smiled with satisfaction. What we needed most right now was talent. We needed trustworthy people. No matter how much money we had, no matter how many martial artists we gathered, if they weren't led by the right people, it would be just a number. It would be like a mirage that disappears with a single blow. When we were alone after sending the two away, I finally handed Baekpyo a letter. Here, take this. It was a letter that Jong Young had entrusted me to deliver when I left the house in Shandong. Baekpyo's eyes welled up as he read the contents. He must miss his wife and son. He looked at me with warm eyes. The letter probably also mentioned how my mother was treating them like family. What's wrong? Is there something bad written about me? Baekpyo was flustered by my joke. No, how could there be? Baekpyo was someone who didn't get jokes. He's probably still feeling awkward around me. Anyway, it was too early to finish the emotional moment. I had more to give him that would move him. Here, take this. I handed him a leather pouch. Baekpyo was shocked when he casually looked inside. It was full of promissory notes. It's 300,000 taels. Baekpyo was surprised once again. Although he must have seen large sums of money many times while guarding the alliance leader, this was probably the first time he had seen it so closely and directly. Use this money to create an elite sword unit. An elite sword unit. The number doesn't matter. Whether it's 10 people or 100. But it must be the strongest organization that can absolutely carry out any given order. Baekpyo looked down at the money he was holding. Some intense emotion flashed across his face. The thought of creating such an organization must have made him clench his fist involuntarily, and he was also deeply moved that I had entrusted him with such an important task and given him such a large sum of money without hesitation. Yes, please leave it to me. That wasn't all I had to give him. I took off the heavenly creation sword I was wearing at my waist and handed it to him. What is this? It's a gift. Use this sword from now on. Isn't this the sword you've been using? Thanks to you, haven't I gotten a better sword? Baekpyo also knew well that there was no better sword than the Azura Bright King sword in this era. May I draw this sword once? When I nodded, Baekpyo drew the sword. Shring. Baekpyo was surprised when he saw the blade. What came out of the ordinary scabbard was far from ordinary. It's a famous sword. His voice trembled. But it feels like I've seen it somewhere before. Famous swords often give similar feelings. I had only used the heavenly creation sword for a few months, and that was a long time ago. Moreover, it had been modified, so Baekpyo couldn't recognize it. The fact that he even felt it was similar was proof of his keen eye. I can't accept such a precious sword. Baekpyo tried to hand the sword back. I pushed it back, saying, the person leading the strongest organization should have at least this level of sword. Young master. He still refused to accept it. You're right, this is indeed a precious sword. But it can't be more precious than you. I'll be honest. This isn't a gift, it's a shackle. A shackle to keep you by my side. Even after going this far, won't you accept my heart? He couldn't refuse anymore. At this moment, Baekpyo was sincerely pledging his loyalty. I had treated his wife and child like family. On top of that, I had entrusted him with a huge sum of money that could support several generations, and now I was giving him a priceless sword. How could he not devote his loyalty to such a person? I gratefully accept the shackle you've given me. This time, I called for the spies Jin and Su. To be honest, I still don't fully trust them. Of course, they had earned big points with me by excellently completing the mission I had given them earlier. But that didn't mean I could trust them completely. After all, they weren't people I had chosen myself, but ones introduced by Jungyo. So I decided to share trust. There was no need to put them through too big a test. It's 50,000 taels. Even that was an enormous sum, so the two were shocked. Use this to build an intelligence network. Of course, I know it's impossible to create an intelligence network across the entire Central Plains with this money. For now, focus on building the organization centered around Shandong and Wuhan. Once they use up all 50,000 taels, I plan to support them with another 50,000. The total amount I'm thinking of supporting is 300,000 taels. Their trustworthiness and evaluation will change depending on how they handle this task. We have trustworthy people. I also have a few people in mind. I nodded and said, once you form the organization, I'll create a separate force unit to support the intelligence organization. I plan to create an organization to support the intelligence organization, separate from the one Baek Pyo is creating. Oh. Thank you. The two were even happier than when they received the money. When I first gave them orders, I also took care of their safety. This was in the same vein, so the two were moved. I know. For an organization to function properly, these people need to be well taken care of. If you lose in intelligence warfare, even several times the military power can be pushed back at once. I believe the intelligence organization is the most important organization. At my words, the two showed both gratitude and determination. We will never betray that trust. Good. The two left the inn with the 50,000 taels. Lastly, I took care of Guangdu. Is there nothing for me? There is. Guangdu's eyes sparkled. I knew it. Our young master is the best. What is it? Is it a spirit pill this time? Something better than a spirit pill. Ooh. Did you bring the inner core of a spirit beast? Even better than that. As I said this, I picked up a wine bottle I had placed on one side of the room. Don't tell me, is there hollow sky jade liquid in there? No way, that can't be, right? Let's just have a drink together. Good grief. Just alcohol? Everyone else gets money, swords, trust, and I just get alcohol. I wanted to give you more, but I've given everything away. Sure, I know. Aren't you the one with the philosophy that if you save things, they turn to shit? He pouted, but Guangdu wasn't upset at all. Having a drink together at the end, isn't that valuable enough? No, he thought he might be receiving the best treatment. We shared a drink and talked about things we hadn't properly discussed before. Are the clan leader and madam doing well? As always. How about Songhee? She's doing well. Seems like she's grown a bit taller too. Kids grow so fast at that age. It hasn't been that long, but I miss everyone. Oh, how about Manager Guan? Still a training bug. If you keep going like this, you'll soon be worse than a bug. Damn! I'm starting dawn training again from tomorrow. When we had almost finished a bottle of wine, Guangdu, emboldened by the alcohol, cautiously asked, Is Miss Du doing well? Du soon? She's become even prettier. Guangdu downed his drink in one go. I still don't think it's over. I decline any consolation. It's not consolation. In what way? Actually, you came on too strong too quickly. If it wasn't love at first sight for both of you, you should have approached more cautiously. I think so too. But what's the use? It's all over now. Guangdu sighed and admitted. Because you didn't end it messily. You could say there's still a chance. Isn't it already too late? People's hearts change a dozen times a day. Would a woman's heart be any different? Guangdu's eyes sparkled. What should I do now? You have to show her. Show her how you're changing. Make Du soon think like this, does this person have this side to him? Did this person have such abilities? Like that. Like you, young master. Ah, I guess that's what it is. To Guangdu, to Warren, to everyone. Yes, like me. Guangdu sighed and said. Relationships are too difficult. Yes, they are difficult. It was a moment when I changed from an advisor to a sympathizer. Do you think I can do well? Why does that matter? What's important is that you try. When I held out my cup, Guangdu clinked his cup vigorously. A new hope bloomed on Guangdu's face. Yes, he's still young. He should live with such a face. I don't just need subordinates who are strong. I want my subordinates to be happy because of me. I hope they become like the wind that never gets caught in the net of misfortune. I hope that's the path I'm taking. Chapter 82, Not Caught in the Net, 3. Ho Yuntak was kneeling in the middle of the main hall of the Ho Yun clan. The disciples who had gone to Shandong with him were standing in a line behind him. A few had bandages, but there were no serious injuries. Unfortunately, no one had died that day. With Ho Yunnan dead and Yeonwoo seriously injured, the remaining people were too preoccupied to kill each other. It was fortunate that it was a sudden incident, otherwise, one side might have been completely wiped out. Ho Yuntak was a disciple but also a blood relative of the Ho Yun clan. Although he was from a branch family and not the main line, he was different from the ordinary disciples. The person standing on the high platform looking down at them was Ho Yunse, the head of the Ho Yun clan. Ho Yun Nam, who had died this time, was his third younger brother. Wearing a long robe with a tiger embroidered on it, Ho Yunse had long white hair and a white beard, and just standing there, he exuded an extraordinary aura. He truly showed the appearance of a leader heading a family. Ho Yunse had his eyes closed, suppressing his anger. More precisely, he was pretending to calm his anger. Although Ho Yun Nam was his blood relative, he didn't have a deep affection for him, so his death wasn't heartbreakingly sad. But now, he needed to be sad. This sadness would play a role when it reached the outside world. The person standing next to him was Ho Yun Chun, the second brother. He was looking down at the disciples with cold eyes, as if he might punish them at any moment. Apart from the disciples who had experienced the incident, these two were the only ones present. Finally, Ho Yunse slowly opened his eyes and asked, "What exactly happened?" "I don't know either." Master suddenly drew his sword and attacked Yeonhwa. "You fool!" Ho Yunse thundered. The energy wave from his body enveloped the space. Ho Yuntak was terrified by this aura. The disciples standing behind couldn't even breathe properly. "What nonsense are you spouting? How could I dare to lie about such a thing? Are you really saying that Nam attacked first?" "That is correct." The disciples standing behind also unanimously agreed that it was so. Ho Yunse looked at Ho Yunchun standing next to him. Ho Yunchun nodded once with a cold expression. It meant that considering Ho Yun Nam's personality, it was entirely possible. Ho Yunchun disliked Ho Yun Nam. Although Ho Yunchun had won the second-in-command battle against Ho Yun Nam, there was still a lot of resentment left from it. Ho Yunse let out a heavy sigh. When the news first arrived, he thought the content had been misreported. But if it was true that Ho Yun Nam had launched a surprise attack first, the problem was serious. An even bigger problem was that an official meeting was being held at that time. Yeonhwa the Slaughterer from the Heavenly Blade sect, known for his strong pride and bad temper, wouldn't let this incident pass. It was like being bitten by a dog and then having to pay not only compensation but also for the dog's broken teeth. Go back and reflect on your actions. Yes. All those standing behind withdrew. But Ho Yuntak remained. "I have something to tell the clan head." "What is it?" Ho Yuntak carefully recounted the story of Yeon's visit. He also told about how Ho Yun Nam had taken the money brought in the leather pouch. Ho Yunse's expression hardened as he listened to the story. If this was true, it meant that Ho Yun Nam had accepted money from the night merchants and then ambushed Yeonhwa. It would greatly tarnish the reputation of the Ho Yun clan. Do the other disciples know about this? No. Only I know about it. You must never speak of this matter again. I will keep it in mind. Ho Yuntak withdrew. Now only Ho Yunse and Ho Yunchun remained in the main hall. Ho Yunse frowned. That pathetic fool, I should have seen through him when he was so eager to handle the matter himself. Although he was reluctant, there was no one else to send for the Heavenly Blade sect matter, so he had to send Ho Yun Nam. He couldn't give up the 200,000 taels. To resolve this matter, we'll have to meet them after all. Ho Yunchun nodded at Ho Yunse's words. I'll make contact with them. Please do. But Ho Yunchun trailed off, looking at the door through which Ho Yuntak had left. What will you do about that child? If rumors spread that Nam took money and caused this incident. Ho Yunse silently looked at Ho Yunchun. Without saying anything, Ho Yunchun nodded as if he had heard something. When Chief Gong locked himself in his room, Guangdu immersed himself in training again. He was motivated by hearing that Guanhuai's skills had improved. For a martial artist, having a rival was not just good, it was a blessing. Guangdu trained diligently. I didn't teach him separately. Even if I noticed something off, I left it alone. Touching on everything might actually make things worse. I'd just let him realize things on his own, and when he asked questions, I'd teach him then. I trained separately, far from where Guangdu was training. My training would surely interfere with Guangdu's. For now, Guangdu needed to focus solely on his own training rather than external stimuli. I was sitting alone at the mountain peak, immersed in meditation. The heaven-defying tiger heart method was always in effect except during sleep, so my inner energy was steadily accumulating. It would take about a year to reach the 9th level of inner energy. With the money I had obtained this time, I could buy spirit pills to shorten that year, but I decided not to. Not only because there were other places to spend the money, but also because I could already use the 4 moves, so there was no need to be greedy for the 5 moves by buying spirit pills. Today's training was meditation training. Just because recent realizations had come from daily life doesn't mean all progress should be sought only in daily life. Only when basic training is laid as a foundation can the concept of daily life realizations exist. I recalled the immortal crane secret art in my mind. I imagined a virtual battle while recalling each movement. The opponent was the leader of the Blood Sky Divine sect. He was the strongest person I had ever faced. Since I had engaged in a life-and-death battle with him for half a day, I knew exactly what demonic arts he possessed and how powerful they were. I imagined the battle with him in my mind. I attacked, closing in on the demonic sect leader with the immortal crane secret art, engaging in close combat. In the first battle, my head was smashed. In the second battle, half of my body was blown away. Naturally, I couldn't face him with my current immortal crane secret art. Could I kill him if I mastered the immortal crane secret art? I still didn't know. This time, I recalled both the soul-reaping Azura sword technique and the immortal crane secret art simultaneously. I faced the demonic sect leader combining the 2 martial arts. As the sword technique and secret technique intertwined, an image of a more difficult battle appeared in my mind. It was a moment that showed how foolish it was to use 2 martial arts simultaneously while facing an absolute expert. But I don't intend to give up. I plan to find a way to properly fuse these 2 martial arts and use them against enemies. After finishing training, I went to the marketplace with Guangdu. Instead of our usual inn, we went to eat at a larger inn near the Martial Arts Alliance headquarters. It was to get some fresh air and also to hear recent rumors. Eating after finishing hard training really tastes like honey. Eat a lot. I'll order more. Young master, let's have a drink after a long time. Sure. I called the waiter and ordered alcohol and side dishes. After emptying his cup refreshingly, Guangdu said with a happy face. I couldn't ask for more. This cup of alcohol after training. I agree. Moreover, if it's with someone you get along with, the joy would be doubled. By the way, everyone's talking about that. In the inn, the only topic of conversation was about the Ho-Yun clan and the Heavenly Blade sect. Since it was a clash between 2 such strong families, it was bound to be the focus of attention. Listening quietly, I found that opinions were divided. Some said Ho-Yun Nam, who launched the surprise attack first, bore great responsibility, while others said Yeonhwa was wrong for killing Ho-Yun Nam. Some even expressed extreme opinions that the Ho-Yun clan would face extinction. Hearing those words from afar, Guangdu made a disbelieving expression. Surely the Ho-Yun clan won't fall, right? They're one of the 4 great families of the martial arts world. Well, you never know. What? It's extremely difficult for a sect to rise, but it can fall in an instant. And the larger the sect, the greater the impact would be. If such a large entity loses balance and staggers, it would crush everything around it as it falls. At that moment, a man rushed into the inn and delivered breathless news. Have you heard the news? A disciple of the Ho-Yun clan has committed suicide. What? You mean a disciple of Ho-Yun Nam who died recently? That's right. I heard his name was Ho-Yun-tak. Anyway, they say he committed suicide out of guilt for not being able to protect his master. Listening from the side, I was inwardly shocked. Ho-Yun-tak was someone I had seen during the recent events. When you see people, you get a feeling about them. He didn't seem weak. He might have been distressed over his master's death, but he didn't seem like someone who would commit suicide. A chilling wind swept through my heart. People lamented his death. Oh no. What a waste of a young life. He must have had a deep devotion to his master. Indeed, he's worthy of being a disciple of a prestigious sect. Everyone said a word for the deceased disciple. Guangdu also expressed his condolences. It's truly a sad thing. I also emptied a cup of alcohol in memory of his death. As I put down my cup, I said, was it really suicide? What else could it be? Guangdu, who quickly grasped the meaning behind my words, was startled. Gasp! Why are you being so scary? I had seen it countless times. People committing unspeakable acts under the pretext of protecting their family. Well, it might not be. But it could be. The suicide of a young disciple who hadn't even had a chance to bloom would start to create public criticism against Yeonhwa. The criticism would soon spread to the Heavenly Blade sect. Although Ho Yunnam was the one who launched the surprise attack first, in this situation, Yeonwoo would have to take responsibility. Because we don't know which side is telling the truth, this is why you're learning martial arts. Why? Because you need to be strong to know the truth. Because the truth of the weak is forever buried. Gwangdu looked at me and answered seriously. Yes, I'll train hard. If the Ho Yun clan killed him and disguised it as suicide, they have crossed the line. Someday, they will pay the price for crossing that line. A man was sitting by the river. He was the very number one who had received a report from number 7 not long ago. After staring endlessly at a painting of waves on a beach, he was now looking at the river with a fishing rod cast. Next to him, a man wearing a wide-brimmed hat sat down. Surprisingly, the visitor was Ho Yun-chan of the Ho Yun clan. Are the fish biting well? I've been out since morning, but the bites have been quite poor. Didn't they say that when fishing, one can attain a state of no thought, no image, and no self? There is such a saying. But I don't have the hobby of sitting still like this. People often think fishing is very static, but that's not true. Fishing is similar to martial arts. At number 1's words, Ho Yun-chan asked with a curious expression. What do you mean? It means there's stillness in movement, 2, and movement in stillness, 3. Just as you watch quietly and then vigorously pull the fishing rod when the float moves, isn't it the same with wielding a sword? I suppose so. But Ho Yun-chan wasn't sincerely convinced. If you put it that way, wouldn't cooking rice, defecating, and everything else in the world be the same? Hiding his true thoughts, Ho Yun-chan brought up the main point. I don't know if you're aware, but we recently had a small friction with the Heavenly Blade sect. Number 1 immediately said. You agreed to receive 200,000 taels from the Shandong night merchants, didn't you? Ho Yun-chan felt displeased. There was no need to bring up the money in this situation, but he had pointedly highlighted their greed for money. Our side has been settled for now, but it seems there are still issues on the Heavenly Blade sect side. Especially Yeonwoo the Slaughterer, he won't let this matter end like this. It was a well-known fact that Yeonwoo's personality was far from ordinary. He wouldn't end this matter just because Ho Yun-tak had committed suicide. I heard he went to Wuhan to meet Ma Bongji. Number 1 nodded, confirming that this was true. It was an attitude as if they knew everything. I understand. We'll resolve this matter on our side. Thank you. As Ho Yun-chan was about to get up and leave, number 1 said. This is only once. Don't cause such trouble again. For a moment, Ho Yun-chan's eyes turned cold. What do you mean by that? In response to Ho Yun-chan's provocation, number 1 turned his head back towards the river. Then, a cold word flowed from his mouth. A warning. After staring at him for a moment, Ho Yun-chan left without a word. After he left, number 1, who had been staring at the river for a long time, opened his mouth. Do you know why I like water so much? Then, a woman walked out from behind a tree a little distance away. She was number 7, who had been monitoring Ma Jongsu earlier. I don't know. My father drowned. It seemed like she might offer a word of comfort, but number 7 spoke briefly in an emotionless tone. I see. Number 1 laughed self-mockingly. It was he who had trained her to be like this. Take the strange phantom and handle this matter. Again, number 7 left the place after just a brief yes. After watching her for a moment, number 1 looked back at the river. The float trembled, but he didn't pull the fishing rod. Chapter 83, 1 Strike, 1 Kill, 1. The person entering the Alliance Leaders Hall was Yeonwoo. True to his alias the Slaughterer, he looked like a huge, ferocious beast. His build was enormous, and his muscles were as hard as rocks. From his slanted eyes to his protruding cheekbones and his irritable-looking lower jaw, his menacing appearance was so frightening that even looking at him was uncomfortable. There was still an unhealed wound on his chest. It was from Ho Yun-nam's surprise attack, and he had left it as it was, saying it was shameful to apply medicine and wrap it in bandages. But even this beast-like man who reeked of festering wounds acted like a well-trained hunting dog in front of Ma Bongji. If we let this slide, the martial arts world will look down on our Heavenly Blade sect. Didn't you already kill Ho Yun-nam? That's not enough. Then? We need to kill everyone who was there that day. Only then will they never dare to look down on our sect again. Hearing this, Commander-in-Chief Sima Cheon, who was listening from the side, made an incredulous expression. Yeonwoo glared at him. Sima Qian met his gaze without backing down. Normally, one shouldn't act this way towards the commander-in-chief of the Martial Arts Alliance, but Yonhua was someone who feared nothing. Ma Bongji smiled and said, "I hear their disciple committed suicide, and they're causing an uproar saying you should be punished instead. Weaklings deserve to die." Ha ha ha. Ma Bongji laughed loudly. "Go back for now." Understood. After Yonhua left the hall with a proud gait, Sima Qian openly expressed his dissatisfaction. That man failed to complete his mission. He should be punished, yet he behaves so rudely. He seems to be in a bad mood. He'll be fine after a few days of coaxing. Why do you trust him so much? He's skilled and doesn't think much. What? Such people are rare in this martial world. Usually, as one's skills improve, their mind works faster too. Ma Bongji's gaze toward Sima Qian sharpened. On the other hand, you think too much. If it were you, would you prefer a subordinate like yourself, or one like him who does whatever he's told without thinking? For a moment, Sima Qian was at a loss for words. It was an almost forced comparison, but the thought crossed his mind that he truly wouldn't keep a subordinate like himself. Of course, I'd prefer a subordinate like me. There are plenty of subordinates who just do as they're told. Ma Bongji then laughed loudly. That's right. No matter how much you think, you're still in the palm of my hand. I'd choose you too. Ha ha ha. It was a laugh that made it impossible to tell if he really meant it or not. The public opinion in the martial arts world is not good. I think we should cover up this incident. I understand. Sima Qian left the Alliance Leaders' Hall. Ma Bongji had changed since becoming the Alliance Leader. The once simple Ma Bongji no longer seemed simple. The intelligence organization was being rapidly established. Jin and Su, being excellent spies, worked quickly. We're expanding our personnel with trustworthy individuals. As long as the budget allows, recruit the most skilled spies and treat them well. Don't worry. I was already treating the two of them that way. Moreover, they were faithfully carrying out the tasks I had assigned them. Yonhua met with the Alliance leader and left. Jin and Su were monitoring the movements of the Martial Arts Alliance while simultaneously building the intelligence organization. He's currently staying at the Wuhan First Inn with the 5 friends of the Heavenly Blade. The Wuhan First Inn was the same inn where I had drunk with Guangdu earlier. It was a famous place not far from the Martial Arts Alliance headquarters, known for its many guests. Why not rent a quiet estate? Yonhua has always disliked quiet places. He liked to reveal his presence in crowded places. Good work. Be especially careful in your spy activities from now on. Yes, we'll keep that in mind. Don't forget. What's important to me is you, not the information. Yes. I knew well that such words gave them great strength. Organizations don't just run on their own. I immediately went to the Wuhan First Inn. There was a crowd of people in front of the inn. They weren't guests, but spectators. That's the slaughterer Yonhua. Oh. Look at that build. They say he killed Ho Yunnam with one punch. Everyone was praising him. Of course, who would dare to criticize him when he was right in front of them? Yonhua was sitting in the center of the inn, drinking. The table was full of dishes, and he had already finished several bottles of alcohol. The inn was empty. When he entered, everyone was surprised and went outside. Thanks to this, he could drink arrogantly as if he had rented the entire inn. The 5 friends of the Heavenly Blade were sitting diagonally around him in 4 directions. They had taken over the inn. Trash. That was my first impression. It was my usual belief that the higher one's martial arts skills, the less harm they should cause to ordinary people. Indeed, an action that proved my intuition correct followed. At Yonhua's signal, first friend, who was sitting in front, scattered silver coins in all directions. A gift from great hero Yom to all of you. Wooer. People started picking up the money that had fallen on the ground. Watching this scene, the slaughterer Yonhua had an expression as if he were a king. Disgusting bastard. In that commotion, I saw a woman who, like me, was watching Yonhua rather than the money. Surprisingly, it was number 7. I truly never imagined I would meet her here. Feeling my gaze, she looked in my direction. Our eyes met. She didn't recognize me. At that time, I had been wearing a human skin mask, so this wasn't the face she had seen. just as number 7 was about to turn around and leave. An angry voice came from somewhere. "You bastard! Don't you fear the heavens?" Everyone's attention turned to that direction. The person who had shouted was an old woman with white hair. She looked very tired, as if she had come from a long journey. But her eyes were filled with venom matching the anger in her voice. A young woman was with her. The two looked so alike that anyone could tell they were blood relatives at a glance. As I looked at the young woman, I felt like I had seen her somewhere before. She was definitely someone I had seen, but no matter how hard I tried to remember, I couldn't place her. First friend, who had scattered the money, stepped forward. "Who are you to speak such rude words?" "I am Meirang, one. Ho Yuntak, who died because of you, was my grandson." Surprisingly, she was Ho Yuntak's grandmother. Everyone there was shocked by her appearance. The most surprised person was me. Hearing the name Meirang, I could recall a woman. She was someone I knew. The reason the young woman with her looked familiar was because she looked exactly like Meirang in her youth. I had lived in the same village as Meirang when we were young, and she had liked me, calling me Big Brother. She said she would marry me when she grew up. Of course, I was busy roaming the martial arts world, and to me, she was just a childish village sister. Whenever I came home after that, I saw her, and she became more beautiful each time. But at that time, I was so obsessed with martial arts that I had no interest in women. Meirang too, after passing her adolescence, lost interest in me. Later, I heard news that she had fallen in love with a descendant of the Ho Yun clan who visited the village and married him. It seems Ho Yuntak must be her grandson. I truly felt that fate was connected in such ways. Meirang looked tired and exhausted, as if she had come from a long journey. First friend sneered and said, "So you're the grandmother of that weakling who committed suicide for failing to protect his master." "You bastard! Our Tak wasn't a child who would commit suicide." Angered, Meirang swung her cane at first friend. But first friend easily dodged it. It wasn't an attack, just an old person's cane swing, but first friend mercilessly pushed Meirang. Before Meirang fell backwards, I stepped in and stopped her. Thanks to this, she didn't hit the ground. If I hadn't stopped her, she would have been seriously injured due to her frail body. Meirang turned to look at me. "Thank you, young man." Seeing her up close, traces of her childhood remained on her face. She had truly been childish then, but now she had aged so much. "Please stop." It was meant for Meirang, but first friend coldly said, "Who are you?" He seemed displeased that I had interfered in his business. "Just a spectator." "Then keep spectating. Why are you rudely interfering in the affairs of elders? Aren't you also treating an elder rudely?" At those words, a few people burst into laughter. But under first friend's menacing gaze, everyone lowered their heads. Just as first friend was about to approach me, Yeonhwa, who had been drinking at the back table, slammed the table with a bang. This caused alcohol and food to spill onto the floor. These days, my luck is truly savagely bad. He frowned and got up from his seat, going upstairs. First friend came close to me and warned me quietly. "You'll regret this." I didn't respond. As the 5 friends of the Heavenly Blade followed Yeonhwa upstairs, the spectators who had filled the place dispersed one by one. Number 7's figure was nowhere to be seen, having disappeared at some point. The young woman came to me and bowed politely. "Thank you so much for helping us. I'm Ho Yun Suk Jong, too. I'm Byok Ri Dan. I won't forget Hero Byok's help today." "It's nothing." "Thank you, young man. Take care." The two walked in the direction of the Martial Arts Alliance headquarters. I was about to ask why they had come but stopped myself. I could guess. Judging from the earlier conversation, it seemed they had come to the Martial Arts Alliance to reveal that Ho Yuntak's death wasn't suicide. Would that be possible here, with Ma Bong-ji as the Alliance leader? I watched the two with some concern as I turned my steps. I didn't return straight to my lodgings but took a secluded path. I had noticed someone tailing me. After walking for a while, I stopped at a place where there were no people around. It was a good spot to check for observers, with no people around and open surroundings. The person following me had no choice but to reveal themselves. It was first friend from the 5 friends of the Heavenly Blade, with whom I had just had friction. "Don't tell me you were tailing me." When I asked, pretending not to know, first friend coldly said, "Didn't I tell you? That you'd regret it." You're truly hot-tempered. To follow me right away like this. I've never postponed killing someone. You're going to kill me? Why are you trying to kill me? When I asked, feigning surprise, he answered. You mocked me in front of all those people. I've never let anyone who insulted me live. What insult did I give you? You dare to step forward and run your mouth without any fear. Is that all? You're trying to kill someone for such a trivial reason. What other reason do I need? I could tell how this person had lived until now. He must have lived exactly like this. Mercilessly killing anyone who even slightly displeased him. Of course, he must have done it secretly like this. Even if his crimes were revealed, he would have slipped away like a loach, backed by the Heavenly Blade sect. Doing it once, twice, it becomes a habit, and before you know it, you become such a monster. This time, he mocked me. Why did you risk your life for that old hag? In your next life, just watch. Understood? You idiot. Does your master know you followed me to kill me? Do you think I report every time I kill someone like you? So you came alone. There was no one visible around. Still, I raised my perception and scanned the surroundings. I thought number 7 might be around, but fortunately, there was no one. I revealed my true colors. If you're someone who kills people for such trivial reasons, then I too have sufficient reason to kill you. Come on, say your greetings. What nonsense are you spouting? To a tree, grass, bird, anything is fine, say your farewell greetings. You should at least bid farewell to this world. Only then did first friend understand my meaning and made an incredulous expression. You crazy bastard. Ha ha ha. First friend laughed loudly. I laughed along. The moment the laughter stopped, he rushed towards me. Drawing his sword in midair, he thrust sharply. Swish! It was truly a fast and accurate move. If the opponent hadn't been me, it would have been a splendid move. Whoosh, as I lightly dodged the incoming sword, I spun through the air like an acrobat and kicked him. He probably never imagined that someone skilled enough to dodge his sword would use such a technique. Bang! With one kick, there was a cracking sound of bones breaking, and first friend staggered backwards. Ugh! His shoulder blade shattered, twisting his body to one side. Immediately, his arm went limp and dangled. Grimacing in severe pain, first friend pleaded. Wait. Ugh! It seems he's finally grasped the situation. I paused my attack for a moment and asked. Why? I was wrong. Your change of attitude is really quick. If only your sword had been this fast. Please spare me. If I spare you? Will you go and bring everyone? No, absolutely not. A bastard who tries to kill people because his mood was ruined by a single word, you think I believe you'd just let it go after your shoulder was shattered? That's too much, isn't it? Please spare me. I'll do anything you want. I flew up and mercilessly kicked his chin. Bang! His jaw shattered, and he fell backwards. With the momentum from the flying kick, I smashed his face with the 1,000 Jin drop technique. Thud! His face was pulverized, and he died instantly. I walked away with big strides, and when I was about 20 steps away, I turned towards the corpse. My sword lightly cut through the air. Swish! Boom! As the 3 moves infinite sword was unleashed, his corpse was shattered into pieces and disappeared without a trace. Looking at what could no longer be called him, now just blood seeping into the ground, I spoke coldly. You asked what I wanted? Just disappear forever for the sake of this world. I didn't look back again, and not even a flock of crows gathered at the empty place. Chapter 84, 1 strike, 1 kill, 2. Returning to my lodgings, I immersed myself in a bath. As I soaked in the steaming hot water, it felt as if all my fatigue was melting away. Suddenly, I recalled number 7's appearance from earlier. Her expression and gaze were as cold and indifferent as ever. She seemed unchanged since I last saw her. I remembered the last words she had left me. I've heard that lotus flowers bloom from the mud. Is that really true? When I answered yes, the smile she had shown flashed in my mind. What business had brought her to Wuhan this time? Judging by how she was watching Yeonhwa, it must be related to him. Was she monitoring him like she did with Ma Jongsu last time? It didn't seem like that. The look in her eyes as she watched Yeonhwa was clearly different from before. After finishing my bath and coming out, I was having a meal when Jin came to report. They say Yeonhwa told the alliance leader that all the Ho-Yun clan disciples who came out for negotiations that day should be killed. The rumor is spreading widely within the alliance. He's insane. Indeed. The very fact that this rumor is spreading is a problem. In other words, it means that Ma Bongji, the alliance leader, is turning a blind eye to his claim to some extent. Otherwise, it's not a rumor that would ever leak out. He seems to have Ma Bongji's trust. He's been handling all sorts of tasks since the Heavenly Blade Sect days. Well, how else would he have earned the named Slaughterer? Be careful when monitoring him. A third organization is watching him. I don't know who they are. But it's certainly a formidable organization. What's the standard for formidable? I think they're at least equal to or better than the Martial Arts Alliance. Jin was shocked. I nodded once to emphasize that my words were true. We need to be careful. I'll keep that in mind. I'll monitor carefully from a distance. Also, people named Meirang and Ho-Yun Sukjong visited the Martial Arts Alliance. Find out about their movements and report back. Yes, understood. Jin withdrew with a polite bow. I put down my chopsticks, though half of my meal remained. Meirang's image came to mind. It's hard to ignore the little girl who used to run into the house calling me Big Brother. The next day, Yeonhwa once again took the center seat at the Wuhan First Inn. Naturally, there wasn't a single customer. The innkeeper looked dejected at his ruined business but couldn't express any complaints. People gathered in front of the inn. Even more people had gathered due to the rumors of Yeonhwa throwing money yesterday. Of course, many people criticized this behavior behind his back. They said it was disrespectful to people, that he was buying goodwill with money. Some people didn't come near the inn at all for this reason. But in reality, even more people had gathered than yesterday. Although Yeonhwa enjoyed the attention of the crowd towards a celebrity, his mood had not been good lately. Since being ambushed by Ho-Yun-nam, Yeonhwa had been in a very bad mood. He should have been able to easily defeat someone like Ho-Yun-nam even if ambushed. But he had nearly died. That had greatly wounded his pride. Damn it! It seemed this anger wouldn't subside unless he gouged out the eyes of all those Ho-Yun clan bastards who had seen him get stabbed that day. Of course, he knew that this wouldn't be easily accomplished. But he had to do this to show the martial arts world that he wasn't someone to be trifled with. In this martial arts world, if you appear weak, all sorts of bastards will try to climb over you. As Yeonhwa was drinking, he noticed First Friend's empty seat. I don't see First Friend. At Yeonhwa's question, Second Friend cautiously said. He hasn't been seen since he went out yesterday, brother. Yesterday? Yeonhwa made a puzzled expression. First Friend had never spent a night away without contact before. Where did he go? He left without saying where he was going. Fool. Yeonhwa's sudden shout made the three men flinch and lower their heads. Fearing a scolding, Second Friend quickly said. Could it be? Because of that old hag yesterday. You mean Ho-Yun-tak's grandmother? Brother went out right after that incident yesterday. He hasn't returned since. Do you know their whereabouts? Of course. Seeing how that old hag was talking yesterday, I thought she might cause trouble, so I had someone follow them. And? They went straight to see the alliance leader yesterday. The alliance leader? Yeonhwa's expression twisted. But they weren't granted permission, so they couldn't see him and just returned. That damn old hag. Yeonhwa's anger rose as he recalled Meirang's face shouting if he didn't fear the heavens. He had let it go because there were many watching eyes, but all she did was. First Friend went to meet that woman and hasn't returned. It's not certain, but there's a possibility. Bring those women here first. Yes. The four friends rushed out. Not only because of First Friend's matter, but also to intimidate them into giving up on seeing the alliance leader. It wouldn't be good for him if they kept making a fuss about Ho-Yun-tak's death. Yeonhwa put down his empty cup nervously. These days, my luck is just rotten. Grandmother, please wake up and eat. At Ho-Yun Sukjong's words, Meirang turned over in bed. I don't feel like it. You go and eat. You shouldn't skip meals. You need to keep your strength up. Yesterday, the two had gone to the Martial Arts Alliance and pleaded with the gate guard to meet the alliance leader. But they couldn't meet the alliance leader. Even when they begged to meet him because they had a grievance to report, it was useless. Given the nature of the matter, someone other than the alliance leader should have come out, but they couldn't meet anyone other than the gate guard of the martial arts alliance. They said if they left a record, they could meet after going through the formal procedure, but it usually takes 1 or 2 months. Grandmother, you need to eat and keep your strength up. Then we can go back again. Mei Rang, still turned away, didn't move an inch. Ho Yun Suk-jong used her last resort. It was a method that always worked on her grandmother. Then I'll starve too. Indeed, Mei Rang slowly got up. You naughty girl. As she turned and got off the bed, tear stains were visible around her eyes. Ho Yun Suk-jong knew better than anyone how her grandmother had raised her and her brother. Although they were of the Ho Yun clan lineage, they were from a branch family, and among them, an unusually powerless and poor household. Her father and mother had passed away early, and what little wealth they had completely ran out. After that, her grandmother raised the two of them while doing all sorts of menial work. When Ho Yun-tak, who had grown up, was recognized for his talent and became Ho Yun-nam's disciple, she still vividly remembered how happy her grandmother had been that day. Grandmother! Above all, Ho Yun Suk-jong was very worried about Mei Rang's health. The two came down to the first floor of the inn. As they were about to take a seat and order food, they spotted someone. Oh? Isn't that the young hero? The one we met yesterday. They noticed me and greeted me. Though it might seem like a chance encounter, I had purposely come here and waited to see them. Jin had found out that they were staying here and that they had been refused when trying to see the alliance leader. It's Mei Elder and Lady Ho Yun. Since we've met like this, how about having a meal together? Ho Yun Suk-jong looked at Mei Rang. Mei Rang nodded and said, I'm grateful for yesterday, so this old woman will buy you a drink. Thank you. The two joined me at my table. We ordered new alcohol and dishes. Perhaps feeling frustrated, Mei Rang drank several cups in quick succession. Grandmother, please drink slowly. I feel like I'm going to burst from frustration. I pretended not to know and asked, if I may be so bold, could I ask what the situation is? Because I had stood up for them yesterday, they had no wariness towards me at all. Rather, they seemed glad to have someone to confide in. Mei Rang told her story. From growing up in a rural village and falling in love with someone of the Ho Yun clan lineage by chance, to going to the Ho Yun clan and having no one listen to them when they said it wasn't suicide. When Mei Rang finished speaking, Ho Yun Suk-jong said to me with moist eyes, my brother is not someone who would commit suicide. At her words, Mei Rang said with a face flushed from alcohol, that's right, of course. Ho Yun-tak must have been capable and strong-willed. That's why he could have become Ho Yun-nam's disciple. Then why did you come here? We came to meet the alliance leader to reveal that my brother's death wasn't suicide. My brother? Ho Yun Suk-jong couldn't continue speaking. If he had fallen victim to a plot and died, the culprit was most likely the Ho Yun clan. It must be a terrifying assumption to even think about. Don't worry. If they keep refusing to meet us, I plan to lie down in front of the martial arts alliance's main gate. Mei Rang was speaking sincerely. I silently looked at Mei Rang. Her deep wrinkles were filled only with stubbornness and determination to properly reveal the truth about her grandson's unjust death. Fate had brought her before me. Should I send her away because I'm busy with my own affairs? I didn't want to do that. I smiled at the two of them. I'm sure something good will happen. I got up from my seat and bid them farewell. But before I could even leave the inn, something bad happened. Fourth friend, who had hurriedly walked past me, went to where Mei Rang and Ho Yun Suk-jong were sitting and said this. If you don't want to die, quietly come with me. The people gathered in front of the Wuhan first inn parted to the left and right. 3 people walked through the gap, Mei Rang, Ho Yun Suk-jong, and fourth friend who had brought them. Those who had seen the two yesterday started whispering. Even those who didn't know the situation sent sympathetic glances, seeing an old woman and a young woman being dragged along. At that moment, second friend stepped forward and scattered silver coins in all directions. A special gift from great hero Yom. Wooer. People created a commotion trying to pick up the money. Watching this scene, second friend curled his lips in a sneer. Meanwhile, Mei Rang and Ho Yun Suk-jong entered the inn. Fourth friend seated them not far from Yeomwa's table. Mei Rang glared fiercely and shouted. Why did you bring us here? Old hag, don't get excited. We brought you because we have something to ask. If you have something to ask, you should have come yourself. How dare a young punk like you order an old woman around? Yeonhwa frowned, but Meirang wasn't intimidated at all. What? Are you going to beat up this old woman? I don't beat up old people. As he said this, he glanced at Ho-Yun Sukjong beside her. Meirang flinched. She didn't care what happened to herself, but it was different for her granddaughter. Initially, she had intended to come to Wuhan alone in case something like this happened, but Sukjong had insisted on following her. What do you want to ask? Meirang asked in a subdued tone. Didn't someone come to see you yesterday? Who are you talking about? Meirang and Ho-Yun Sukjong looked completely puzzled, and it didn't seem like they were pretending at all. Yeonhwa drank his alcohol irritably. Damn it! Then where the hell did first friend go? On a rooftop far away, with a view of the Wuhan First Inn, number 7 stood with her arms crossed. There was another person beside her. It was a man who looked so small and young that at first glance, he might be mistaken for a child. But he was an adult. This dwarf-like small man was the strange phantom who had come down with her for this mission. The strange phantom was an assassin within the organization. There were only 4 top assassins recognized by the organization, and the strange phantom was one of them. Who he had assassinated so far was an absolute secret. The order to take the strange phantom and handle the matter meant to eliminate the target. Number 7 spoke quietly. Eliminate that person as quickly as possible. The strange phantom turned to her and asked, was the elimination order really given? Yes, it was. The two had a slightly strange relationship. Number 7 gave the orders, but within the organization, the strange phantom's rank was higher. An order to kill the Heavenly Blade sect slaughterer? Our organization is truly amazing. He wasn't saying this because he disliked it. He was pleasantly excited, like a beast facing delicious prey. The strange phantom's gaze shifted from number 7 to the inn. Oh? But what's that situation? Number 7's gaze followed his towards the inn. Someone was entering the inn. I walked with big strides towards the inn entrance. Stop! Second friend blocked my way. Over his shoulder, I could see Yeonhwa drinking and Meirang and Ho-Yun Sukjong sitting a little distance away. Because I was wearing a human skin mask and had also altered my voice, they couldn't recognize that I was the same person from yesterday. Who are you to try to enter so casually? Isn't this an inn? What? Did you rent out the entire place? I looked at the innkeeper. The innkeeper, terrified, couldn't say a word. Second friend looked at me as if he couldn't believe it. People were still crowding outside the inn, standing and watching the inside. He couldn't tell if I was someone who couldn't read the atmosphere, or if I had come with some intention. At that moment, Yeonhwa spoke from behind. Let him in. A guest has come to the inn, we should receive him. Second friend stepped aside with a displeased look. Leaving behind the murmuring of the onlookers, I slowly entered the inn.